Okay, Shadow Systems DR920P. This one I have in the state of California because it just hit the handgun roster a while ago. I've had this gun for a while, but it hit the handgun roster. A lot of people have been talking about it. It's an interesting firearm. I think it has a lot going for it, but at the same time, I think this gun has a little bit of an identity crisis. I'm not entirely sure who this gun is for. So if you own one of these or you want one of these, please elaborate down in the comments and tell me what it is specifically. I'll get into why I'm not entirely sure who would want this, but I'm also going to talk about why I, after doing some things, do actually really enjoy this gun. On my second channel, I'll probably get into my concerns with Shadow Systems as a brand and do that in much more depth. But I'll talk about reliability, accuracy, how this gun feels to shoot, what I like about it, what I don't like about it, and some of the main features in this video here. So if you're interested in the Shadow Systems DR920, watch this video, send it to a friend if they're interested. If you're a Shadow Systems hater, tell me why. If you're a Shadow Systems believer, you know, a crusader on the system of shadows, go ahead and drop that comment down below too, because it does help this channel a lot. So the DR920P, let's talk about some of the basic features. This is a firearm that accepts Glock 17 magazines. It has a lot of compatibility with Gen 3 and Gen 4 Glock parts. It has, like I said, about a Glock 17 length grip. It comes with a magwell that is more concealed carry oriented, but you could take this off and not use the magwell if you don't want to. Comes with a few different back straps. The one that I have installed here gives it a little bit more of an upright grip angle as opposed to more swept back that is typical on Glock pistols. I did that because I have been shooting a lot of 2011 style pistols lately, and this got me a little bit closer to that. Grip angles, if you are sticking with a certain platform and getting good with it, which is a great idea to do, they don't matter. But if you're swapping all back and forth, maybe that matters to you. Some of the features on the grip, the lower half of the gun that are relevant, it has better grip texture than most Glock pistols. It is grippy, but not super aggressive. It's a little bit more grippy and ergonomic than a typical Gen 3 or Gen 4 Glock. The Gen 5s I have zero problem with whatsoever. It has a double undercut on the trigger guard, which a lot of people do like to do because Glock knuckle. You shoot any gun enough, you're gonna get calluses. If you look at the back of my hands are just, I've been doing my dry fire, folks. My hands are pretty messed up. But ergonomically, the double undercut is something a lot of people do to their guns. They also have a little bit of a, some people refer to it as a gas pedal, just a little bit of a ledge here. I don't really use those because I took a class with Hunter Freeland and he kind of solidified my belief that thumbs, they're not really doing a whole lot. I'm not pressing into the side of the gun with my thumbs because it's hard to do that consistently and repeatably. So if you like that, cool. If you don't like that, don't use it. But it is something a lot of people do, and it comes from the factory like that. The magazine release is reversible. I have this one on the left side mostly so that I could talk about it and show you that it does in fact work. So if you are committed to the bit of pretending that you're left-handed, I know you guys are all just doing that to piss me off, but if you are pretending to be left-handed, you can pretend without having to use your index finger or ring finger or middle finger to drop that mag release, and just drop it with your thumb like us correct-handed people. The slide stop is not reversible, but it is a little bit extended over the typical OEM that you would see on a Glock. I'm not going to talk about the part that I hate the most, so we'll talk about the trigger later. Let's move on to the upper half of the gun. So this one comes with the bronze barrel, which is actually really pretty in my opinion. It looks good. If this was 2017, I would have lost my shit over this. This would have been the coolest thing ever. It's not 2017 anymore, but I still think it's pretty cool. I think bronze, it's a good firearms finish. It looks good. I like it. It's got some slide serrations that are very aggressive, very easy to come over the top, lock the gun open, do a little press check, you know, maybe go like this. You know, you could do a press check pretty easily. You could rack it from the front pretty easily. Got some window ports here. It's got the best, in my opinion, I mean, maybe not the best, but it's got a very neat, a very awesome, in my opinion, optics mounting system. The optics mounting system uses, I need to block my face so it doesn't zoom in here. It uses little spacers to allow you to position basically any red dot. This is the Vortex Defender XL. This gun has used a variety of red dots in the 2,700 or so rounds that I've used through this gun, but it's not advertised as working with the Defender XL, but I had enough spacers and screw combinations and I was able to figure it out. So you could put a Delta Point Pro cut optic on it, you could put the Vortex Defender, you could put an RMR cut optic on it, you could put an SRO, you can put all sorts of different optics on these guns just by using a different spacer and different screws. In addition to that, the screws actually go basically all the way through the slide, giving you significantly more thread engagement. I have not had any optic come loose on the probably 5,000 rounds or so that I've put through Shadow Systems pistols, which I know is not a crazy amount, but in theory, it's a very stable, secure platform because of how long the screws are and because they're a little bit thicker than some of the other options on the market. And in practice, I have not had a single issue with it. So theoretically, it's a huge improvement. And I've not had the problem that it seems to aim to fix happen. So I really like that optic mounting system. I wish more companies could use it. I wish they would license this out to other companies because it rocks. The barrel is spiral fluted, which is an aesthetic choice that a lot of people like. It's kind of sick, but maybe you don't care about that. At the front here, if you are an iron sight shooter, this is a huge improvement for you because we have irons that are built into the compensator that does not move. So when the slide reciprocates, the iron stays basically in place, which makes it easier. I shot this with just irons at Route 66, and immediately I was like, it's pretty neat. It's pretty neat. Compensator, it works. This compensator makes this gun shoot rather flat. It comes with two spring options out of the box. One of them is 15 pounds, one of them is 18 pounds. This one currently has the 15-pound spring in it. I ran it initially with the 15-pound spring, and I just found that that was good. It comes with the 18 installed. I said, I don't know, on a lot of my other guns with compensators, I run a 15, so I'll just run the 15, and the 15 has ran perfectly fine for me. Your mileage may vary. These guns do advertise a break-in period, which I know people deal with. Thankfully, I didn't, but I don't know if the juice is worth the squeeze because they say that the reason for the break-in period is because they manufacture things with tight clearances. Some people, I think clearances is the correct word. Some people use the word tolerances. Tolerances, from my understanding when it comes to machining, is you have a machine that's electronic, it cuts apart, and you want it to be 1 inch long, plus or minus a certain measurement. That's tolerances, from my understanding. Correct me if I'm wrong. Clearances are how much space between two moving parts or parts that lock up, how much space is there. Theoretical, tighter barrel lockup, which is supposedly the cause for a break-in period, I don't think that that has any tangible benefit in my experience or in my opinion with the two that I've got. So this amount of disengagement and this tightness in general, I mean, the slide to frame is pretty bad even for a Glock. In my experience with the Glocks that I've owned and I've handled, and I worked in a gun store for a long time, this doesn't really matter that much because the optic is hooked up to the slide and the slide to barrel is really the most important part. But I find that when I pull the trigger, the slide sometimes wiggles around, kind of like a 320, and more than most Glocks. And I don't think that this barrel lockup is anything to write home about. Like, I don't think that I just, in practice, I've not seen this gun do any better than my Gen 5 Glock in terms of accuracy. So I'm not seeing any crazy tight groups out of this gun. And the reason that you have to potentially do a break-in period, which mine didn't require, is because of that tighter lockup. I just, whatever. It's take it or leave it. Just expect when you get one of these guns that you're gonna have to shoot a couple hundred rounds in one session of 124 grain. NATO spec ammo is what they recommend. I did not do that. I accidentally only brought standard 115 grain with like 130 power factor to the range. Didn't realize it till I got about 500 rounds in that I was shooting the wrong stuff, and the gun has not had any malfunctions. The only time that this gun has given me any malfunction was at one point, randomly, the spring that keeps the slide stop down, the spring that coils around, got funky all up around the locking block, and the gun was locking open after every shot. If I racked the gun at all, it would lock open. I popped the pins out, I reassembled the gun, and then it worked fine. And that was about 1,500, maybe 1,200 rounds ago that happened. And that's the only reliability stoppages whatsoever that I have had with this gun in about 2,700 rounds or so. So the gun's been reliable. The reliability of these guns, the performance of these guns, and the quality of these guns is a hot topic on the internet. You basically have two groups of people. People that get these guns, the gun does great, and they will fight to the death to defend shadow systems. And then you have people that have way too many nightmare horror stories with these guns. Granted, for the most part, it seems like Shadow Systems warranty has been great for all these people, but there's just a lot of people that have had a lot of experience with the warranty department at Shadow Systems. So, if you're gonna get one of these guns, my recommendation, shoot 500 to 1,000 rounds through it over a couple of range trips. If the gun's doing great, it's probably gonna keep going great for you. If the gun's gonna show a problem, it's probably gonna show up pretty early after the break-in period. So, yeah. I will talk more about my thoughts about my perceptions of Shadow Systems, quality, consistency, and that kind of thing at probably on the second channel. But if you just go on Shadow Systems Reddit, the subreddit for Shadow Systems, you'll see what I'm talking about. Now, this gun has been reliable with PMags. It's been reliable with these Metgar 10-round mags, and it has been reliable, obviously, with Glock OEM magazines. But Shadow Systems says that they specifically spec these guns to work with PMags. That's weird, in my opinion. The compensator works really well. It's a smooth shooting gun. I really enjoy the feel of it. It's a pleasurable gun to shoot. The trigger, oh my God. I've talked about this at various other places on the internet. This trigger from the factory was the worst Glock trigger that I've ever felt. These triggers in my two Shadow Systems were the worst Glock style triggers I had ever felt. But none of the other Shadow Systems pistols that I felt in any of the gun stores I've been to, and if I see one in the gun store, I ask to pick it up, I pull the trigger, and I'm like, that was actually good. Mine were terrible. They advertise these as combat triggers. So they break at about 5.5 pounds from the factory. They have a pretty decent wall, generally, and then they break, okay? I think that that is a huge mistake. For this gun, at least, this gun specifically, I think the triggers that they're putting in these guns are really, really holding these guns back. What is this gun for? What is the purpose of this gun? You know, you have a ported gun, so it's not really USPSA, it's not a USPSA competition pistol. The port, like the compensator, might make it good for like a range toy, right? The magwell is kind of more carry-oriented, which is fine. You don't need a big old gigantic magwell on every pistol. That's not going to be a carry gun, right? But it's kind of more like maybe home defense, maybe range toy gun, which if you think about what you interact with on a gun the most often, what is the thing that you're going to touch and interact with the most? The trigger. What is most likely going to make you enjoy or not enjoy the gun? The things that you interact with the most. So I think the trigger is holding it back. The port or the compensator makes it not really a competition gun. and then the trigger being so bad makes it not really a good range toy in my opinion. And the whole point of Shadow Systems pistols is that you get the gun and it is good as is from the factory. Because if I'm gonna have to drop $250 roonies on a Johnny Glock trigger system for one of these, why the hell did I not just get a Glock for sub 5, mod it out, and put a trigger in it? So for me, that's really kind of like why I'm kind of like torn about this gun, because the way it shoots is really nice. I like the way the gun recoils. It feels good in my hand when it comes to like Glock style performance, but I have the trigger now breaking at about 4.5 pounds, like 4 pounds, 9 ounces. And for a Glock without any aftermarket internals, it breaks okay, but I had to do a whole lot to every single part of the internals on the trigger and some work to the frame and bending some stuff on things that are kind of, don't do it if you don't know what you're doing. I had to do a lot to get there. And I'll probably talk about that in a different video if I haven't already done that. I don't really know who this gun is for. If you have one and you like it, let me know. If you are a Shadow Systems hater, let me know. I'm kind of indifferent. I'm kind of torn. I don't know. There's a lot good about this gun. There's some things that really hold it back. I don't really know who it's for. If it's for you, I'd like to know so that I can maybe recommend it to people that might be like you. So drop a comment down below and let me know what you guys think. You guys know the drill. Have fun, be safe, stay dangerous. Peace.